all these experiences were there to tell me that there is a healthier version of me available, and I got to experience it. My name is Stephanie, and I live here in Toronto. So I work in the linguistics field, and I'm a strong and firm believer of a better health and a better well-being that is supported by nature and that is in harmony with what nature can give to us. Long story short, I was introduced to ZenCleanz products by my hydrocolon therapist about a year ago. But to be honest, my health history, which is pretty long and pretty deep, I would say, is what exactly pushed me by ZenCleanz products. Because when I started my colonics and when my hydrocolon therapist said that I would be ready for a deeper cleanse, I started to browse the website first, and as soon as I browsed the website, read everything about, the holistic approach, the fact that it takes into account all the organs and the key organs in the body, actually, it instantly resonated with me, and I did not hesitate. I started with the intestinal, and that was the beginning of my journey. So first, when I was getting ready with the detox, I really struggled with everything guts related. And it was to that point where you just feel it's stuck. Everything is stuck, and that I needed something. So I started with a couple sessions of colonics. And when I say yes to the intestinal cleanse, to see the releases was eye-opening, like putting aside the symptoms, and I will talk about that after. It's just eye-opening because you realize that you've stored that much toxins in your body. And I decided to go with the liver flush, and which was a completely different experience as well, because health-wise, I knew my liver needed some care, and I've known that for years, but I did not know how to address it. But that was another big moment for me as well. Liver cleanse was more like, I did not even look at it as a detox for me. I looked at it as a moment with myself because of the emotions that came with it. And just the name of the cleanse, like forgive, and I meditated a lot around forgiveness and everything that came with it. It was very special. But then I knew when I started the liver cleanse that it was just the beginning of the whole journey. So 6 months fast forward, that's when I decided to go for a deeper cleanse with Rainbow, followed by another liver cleanse. I was lucky enough to grow up in an island in Madagascar where local traditional medicines was available and accessible. So we're talking about plants and natural resources and grandma recipes, when we get sick, and that's the first solution. But of course, we had the Western medicine on the side. So I knew both, but from my own experience, I struggled with eczema from a very young age, like eczemas, like recurrent eczemas that couldn't be explained by doctors. I got treated with plants. So I was lucky enough to experience that at a very young age and to grow up with understanding that I could turn to natural solution, right? So fast forward, I would say 6 years ago, when I was at a crossroad in my life, and when physical, emotional, and mental stress really took a toll on my health, my doctor asked me to process what happened in a different way and with a different perspective. And again, I was lucky to have that doctor to tell me so. But I was still prescribed with tons of creams and tons of supplements and lots of pills to swallow. And to be honest with you, I could not swallow these medications. And 2 years after, I started the colonics, and that's when I understood the whole foundation of health around guts and everything. So for me, discovering ZenCleanz products, its approach and how it addresses health was the answer to all these past health issues, whether it was guts, skin, Now, most recently, high blood pressure, insomnia, and the list is long. But I started mycelia just about a week ago, and my sleep is back. My blood pressure is stable. And, those are just one example, but, after what the intestinal and the liver cleanse, I can talk about mental clarity, I can talk about vision, I can talk about the energy, right? So, but I just had to continue the journey. I haven't seen bowel movement that healthy on a regular basis and in a very consistent way. And emotionally, I've seen myself, processing my emotions in a completely different way than before. And I hope I can explain that the right way. So after the rainbow and the liver, I released so much, so many stones, 4 times more than during my first liver cleanse. And since then, I process anger differently. I do not store anger, I do not accumulate anger like before, whereas just over a year ago, I knew I was carrying a lot from years of, storing these emotions. But lately, I can confidently say that these negative emotions are being processed. I do not feel like I have to carry them for a long time. I can process them and move forward. What I went through about 6 years ago and what started about 6 years ago was a crossroad in my life where I had to go through decisions making. And that's when I started to process emotions, and my body was just screaming at me, things I've stored for a while. And, when you see that happening on your body and you feel everything, I had kidney stones. And, after my cleanse, my kidney stone symptoms are gone. My skin is doing much better, on the face, on the body. The list is long, I have to say, but yes, I did store a lot of this anger because I could not I did not know, maybe I chose not to express the anger and the resentment and everything that came with it, but I knew I stored a lot. My poor liver, especially the liver cleanse.